Hey everyone, welcome back to Stoic Bux. I have a question for you. Do you think that life is like a movie where you're the supporting character waiting for the main character to save you? Do you think that your endless patience will one day pay off and they'll wake up and realize that you're the one? If that is your expectation, I regret to inform you that they are deceiving you to a significant extent, and the most distressing aspect is that you are allowing them to do so. While you're clinging to every interaction, hoping they'll finally see how valuable you are, they're living their life as if you don't exist. They've put you in a neat little box labeled "always available" and expect you to stay there and wait like a loyal fan, but the truth is that they've already written you off as predictable. As long as you keep playing along, hoping your kindness or effort will win their love, nothing will change. If you pull away, you're not giving them any room or time to think. When you finally pull away, you're destroying their comfort zone and taking out all of their control, and trust me, they won't see it coming. One moment, they had you completely under control, and the next, you're a specter in their narrative that they can't stop contemplating. But let me warn you, this isn't some trick. It's about reclaiming what should have been yours all along, your power. Whether you acknowledge it or not, you've been adhering to their schedule, arriving at their convenience, initiating texts ahead of time, and creating plans they didn't merit, and they've been thoroughly enjoying it. But when you truly distance yourself, it triggers a wake-up call. Suddenly the silence you leave behind will scream louder than anything you've ever said to them. Do you really think they'll stay cool when you disappear from their radar? Do you think they won't feel the absence of your presence, your energy, or your attention? Think again. The human brain doesn't know how to handle sudden loss. It panics. It starts over-analyzing, filling in the gaps with worst-case scenarios. Where did they go? Who are they with? Did they move on? Have I been replaced? These questions will consume them like wildfire, and the more they try to act like they don't care, the deeper it burns. You see, the power of pulling away isn't just in the physical absence, it's in the psychological storm. It creates every moment of silence becomes a reminder of the control they thought they had over you. They'll tell themselves they're fine without you. Maybe even try to move on. But that's just the fear talking, because deep down they know they've lost access to someone irreplaceable, and that knowledge will eat at them day and night. And guess what? They'll hate it. They'll hate that they're checking their phone for a message that isn't coming. They'll hate that they're scrolling through your social media, looking for some sign, some clue, that maybe you miss them too. They'll hate that you've stopped playing by their rules, and that they're no longer the center of your world. And in the quiet moments, when they think no one's watching, they'll start to unravel. This is the part nobody tells you. The moment you stop giving them all of you is the moment they start feeling the loss in ways they never expected. It's like a void that grows bigger every day, and no distraction, no fling, no quick fix will fill it. You were more than just a friend. You were a rock. They took their comfort and attention for granted until their departure, and now each passing moment without you serves as a constant reminder of their lost and priceless bet. But here's the intriguing part. The longer you stay quiet, the more they miss you. More their mind plays tricks on them every day. You don't text. First, they spiral deeper into their own insecurities. Are they seeing someone else? Did they finally realize they deserve better than me? That's the beauty of pulling away. You force them to confront their own fears. You make them realize that they were never in control. They just thought they were. And the best part, while they're over there, losing their grip, you're reclaiming your own. This isn't about manipulation, it's about freedom. Freedom from the games. Freedom from the constant need for approval. Freedom to walk away, knowing that your value isn't tied to whether someone else recognizes it. You're done being a supporting character in their story. You're the star of your own, and the plot twist, They're no longer part of the script unless you decide they are. Let them wander. Let them miss you. Let them wrestle with their own doubts and regrets. But don't you dare break the silence first. If they want back in, they'll have to earn it. And even then it's on your terms, because the truth is, the moment you pull away, you shift the power. They stop being the prize you are. So here's my challenge, Aleng, to you. Pull away. Not just a little, completely. Let them sit with the emptiness of life without you, and when they finally come crawling back, and trust me, you'll know one thing for certain. You are always the one in control, if you're ready to take back your power. Drop the phrase, "I'm done" being an option in the comments, because from now on, you're not chasing anyone, you're not playing their games, you're done. And the best part, they'll have no idea what hit them. This is just the beginning. Stick with me, and let's dive deeper into exactly what happens when you pull away, because what's coming next, they never saw it coming. Number 1, the shock of lost control when you pull away. Everything changes for the person who thought they had control over you. It feels like the rug has been pulled out from under them, leaving them scrambling to regain their balance. This is the shock of lost control. The moment they realize the power dynamic has shifted and they're no longer in the driver's seat. They were so comfortable, so confident that you'd always be there orbiting around them that they never imagined you'd pull away. But now that you have, it's like a tidal wave of confusion and panic hits them all at once. The shock is real and it's intense because suddenly the reality they relied on is gone. As the Stoic philosopher Epicurus said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things beyond our control. And here's where that Stoic wisdom kicks in. They were never truly in control. Only under the illusion that they were your consistent availability gave them the comfort to think they could always count on you being there, no matter how they acted or how little they gave back. But the moment you pull away, that illusion shatters the control they thought they had. It slips right through their fingers, and now they're left grappling with the loss. This loss isn't just about missing you, it's about realizing they never had power over you to begin with. You just allow them to think they did. When you pull away, you don't just create space. You create a void that they can't easily fill. They'll tell themselves they're fine, that they don't need you, but deep down, without your contact, they feel your absence, and the more they ignore it, the heavier it gets. This is the power of pulling away. You force them to face the truth that they've been avoiding without you. Their world feels a lot less stable. To really make an impact, you must be consistent, no late-night texts, and stop mind games. Not just reading messages, not a half-hearted effort. You give them a taste of the power they lost every time you reach out. The key is to be firm in your choice and stay away long enough for them to feel the full weight of your decision. Not showing up for work isn't a way to punish them. It's a way to show that you respect your own time and energy enough to stop chasing them. Okay, I get it. When you've put so much of yourself into someone, letting go can be scary because you think everything will fall apart if you don't keep trying. But here's the harsh truth. If pulling away causes the relationship to fall apart, it was never strong enough to begin with. Your constant presence has been a crutch that made it simple for them to take you for granted. If they really value you, they'll step up when you step back. If they don't, you'll know exactly where you stand and can walk away knowing you didn't lose anything worth keeping. This way, there was a time when you gave in to their demands and moved like a puppet. But when you cut those strings, the puppet ceases to move, leaving the puppeteer with a tangle of useless threads. That's exactly what you're doing when you pull away. You're cutting the strings that held you captive. Once you cut those strings, they can no longer control you. You become free, and the realization dawns on them that they were only deluding themselves. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Pulling away will be uncomfortable. It will feel like ripping out a part of yourself, especially if you've been holding on for a long time. Freedom costs comfort, The first step to regaining your power is to leave. You've been playing their game for too long, and it's time to stop. You leave because you deserve better, not to hurt or trick them. You deserve to be with someone who recognizes your worth without requiring constant validation. So, here's the challenge. Don't succumb to the temptation to check their social media or send them a message just to feel connected. That's the old you. You are evolving into a new person who recognizes their value, doesn't require attention, and refuses to be an option. This is the first step to becoming the person worth pursuing, and trust me, this isn't a one-time thing. It takes time, patience, and the strength to see things through the pain of walking away and staying away. Number 2, their ego takes a nosedive when you pull away their ego, which once stood tall and unshaken, begins to crumble. At first they won't show it. They'll put on a front, telling themselves, it's nothing. They'll come back. They always do. But deep inside, cracks are forming. This isn't just a momentary bruise to their pride. It's a slow, painful nosedive that shakes the very foundation of their sense of self. They've built their ego on the idea that they had control over you, that you'd always be there, and that no matter what, you'd keep showing up. But now that illusion is gone, and then their ego can't take the hit. He who is not a slave to his ego is truly free, said Seneca. And that's exactly what they're forced to confront, the truth, that their sense of importance was tied to your presence. The harsh reality hits them. They weren't as irreplaceable as they thought, you see. Their ego didn't just thrive off your attention, it depended on it. Your effort, availability, and emotional investment were the lifeblood feeding their self-importance. And now that you've taken all that away, their ego is gasping for air. At first, they'll act indifferent. They might even flaunt their so-called freedom, posting pictures with friends acting like nothing's changed. But that's just a front. Inside, they're spiraling and questioning everything. Why aren't they calling? What if they've moved on? What if I'm not as special as I thought? These thoughts keep them awake at night. Their self-assured image is starting to crack, and it's only a matter of time before the pieces fall apart. Pulling away forces them to confront something they never expected, the mirror of reality. They start realizing how much of their confidence was built on your consistent presence, when they thought they had you figured out, when they believed you'd always be there. No matter how they treated you, they fed their ego with that false security. Now, without you there to validate them, that sense of control evaporates, and their ego begins to nosedive straight into insecurity. Here's the part that might surprise you. The deeper their ego falls, the more desperate they become to reclaim what they lost. They'll try to act like they don't care, posting on social media, talking to new people, or pretending they're having the time of their life. But make no mistake, these actions aren't about letting go. They're a desperate attempt to reclaim the power they once believed they possessed. Instead, you need to stay firm. Their ego needs to hit rock bottom in order to realize that the power they thought they had over you was never real. Believe me, the longer you remain silent, the more profound the decline. Every day you don't reach out, their self-confident facade falls apart a little more. Every missed text and missed call contributes to the erosion of their self-confidence. It's not just rejection. They lose the ease of knowing you'll be there. Imagine being in a relationship where you've always put in the work. You text first, set up dates, and start conversations. Over time, the other person starts to act like it's all normal, like they're doing you a favor by being there. Their ego tells them they can take you for granted because you'll always be there. But one day you stop. No more calls, plans, or work. At first, they laugh it off. They're just busy. They'll reach out soon, but as the silence grows, so does their anxiety. Suddenly the person who thought they had all the control is left wondering if they've lost you for good, and that's when it hits them. Their ego wasn't built on real strength, but on the false security of having you always show up now. Without that safety net, they're left scrambling to pick up the pieces of their shattered confidence. Here's the truth. It's not your job to fix their ego. They need to feel the weight of your absence. They need to understand that real confidence doesn't come from having control over others. It comes from within. And in this moment, the best thing you can do is stay silent. Let them sit with the discomfort. Let them wrestle with their doubts. Let their ego fall as far as it needs to. This is where the transformation happens for both of you, for them. It's the realization that they can't rely on others to prop up their sense of self. And for you, it's the freedom of knowing that you no longer have to chase anyone for validation. Their nose-diving ego isn't your problem. It's their lesson to learn. So here's your challenge. Please don't give in to the urge to reach out or check in. This is only the start of the process. If you stop now, you'll never see the full change. Continue with me until the conclusion. Our journey is just beginning. If you're prepared to commit to this journey and become the person others aspire to follow, feel free to reach out to me. After I have finished stroking people's egos in the comments, this is your declaration that you are done maintaining the unity of others while tearing yourself apart. The previous version of yourself, the one seeking validation, has vanished. You are stepping into your power now, and trust me, when you fully embrace this step, the rest will follow. You'll transform into a person they can't ignore, someone they don't need to pursue because you are the one worthy of their attention. Pulling away does more than make them wonder where you are. It sows doubt and insecurity throughout their minds. The insecurity spiral starts slowly but never stops. Every moment of silence triggers them to think about questions they never thought they'd ask. Was it something I said? Are they with someone else? Did I push them away? Have they finally realized they deserve better than me? Each question leads to another, which makes them doubt themselves even more. What's worse, there are no answers, just endless uncertainty. At first, they might try to convince themselves that they don't care. They always do. But as your silence grows longer and your absence becomes louder, their confidence starts to fade. What once felt like certainty turns into shaky ground, and all of a sudden, every memory of you makes them question you. They play back conversations. They read old books and try to figure out what they missed by focusing on every little detail. The spiral keeps pulling them down, even when they try to ignore it. The fears only get stronger. The human mind hates uncertainty. It craves resolution, closure, and control. But when you pull away, you deny them all three. They are left with fragments of what once was desperately trying to piece them together into a story that makes sense. But here's the twist. There is no story that makes sense to them because you've disrupted the script. They were following the person they thought would always be there as vanished, and now they're left with nothing but questions that tear at their self-esteem in a relationship. This spiral can be brutal. Imagine they were always the one who kept things on their terms. They gave just enough to keep you hanging on, but never enough to make you feel secure. Now that you've pulled back, the tables have turned. They feel the very insecurity they once made you live with, and it's eating them alive. They wonder if they misjudged you, if they let someone valuable slip through their fingers. And worst of all, if you've already moved on to someone better. That fear grows louder with every day that passes without a text or call from you, even if they try to distract themselves with friends, hobbies, or new connections. The thought of you ruins every moment of fun and hollows out every fake smile. What if I ruined it? And what if they're happier without me? Are thoughts that follow them around like shadows they can't get away from. They look through your social media for signs of who you've become without them, but every picture they see or don't see makes them feel worse. More and more, the circle holds them tight, making it difficult to think of anything else. Because of their insecurity, they have to face parts of themselves they have avoided for a long time. They start to doubt their worth, their actions, and every interaction. The image they had of themselves is lost along with you. They start to wonder, what if I'm not good enough? What if they were always beyond my capabilities? The worse things get, the harder it is for them to hold on to the confidence they once had. But here's the good news. This spiral isn't your problem. It's their journey to take, and you are no longer part of it. You've stepped away not to manipulate or hurt them, but to reclaim your peace and power. Their insecurities are a reflection of their actions, not your worth. And the longer you stay silent, the more they are forced to sit with those insecurities and face the consequences of taking you for granted. If pulling away feels hard for you, that's normal. You might feel tempted to check on them to see if they're struggling or to offer comfort out of habit. But every time you reach out, you cut short the process. They need to go through their insecurity. Spiral is necessary. It's how they learn. If you step in too soon, they'll never understand what it feels like to truly lose you. They'll never realize the value of what they had until they're left to deal with the aftermath of their own behavior. So let them spiral. Let them wrestle with the doubt, the fear, and the anxiety. It's not your job to pull them out of it. Your only job is to focus on yourself, to keep moving forward, and to trust that their insecurity at eyes are part of their growth. Not yours. You've already done the hard part by stepping away. Now it's time to hold your ground. Drop. I'm done chasing people in the comments. If you're ready to stop trying to fix other people and focus on your own journey, stay with me. This is just the start. Before changing, you must know when to step back and let others deal with their actions. Trust me, once you take this step, you'll become the person they can't stop thinking about. The mind games they play with themselves. When you step back, the first person they try to trick is themselves, not you. Their minds become a battlefield of denial and desperation, and they start playing tricks on themselves just to stay sane. At first, they'll tell themselves it doesn't matter if they'll be back. They always come back. It's their way of holding on to a sense of control that no longer exists. They try to downplay your absence, convincing themselves they're unaffected. But the truth is, the longer you stay away, the harder it becomes to maintain that facade, and deep down, the panic sets in. What if this time they really don't come back? The real mind game starts with them rewriting history. They'll tell themselves that they didn't need you anyway, that you were too emotional, too needy, too much. They'll run through scenarios in their mind, trying to convince themselves that it's better now that you've stepped back. But that's just the fear talking. They know deep down that they never thought this moment would come, that you'd actually walk away, and the more they try to act like they're fine, the more their mind betrays them. They are unable to escape the recurring memories and worries. Their minds become a maze of what-ifs. What if I had answered that last text? What if I didn't act so distant? What if I've ruined everything? They replay your conversations over and over, dissecting every word, trying to pinpoint where things went wrong. And the worst part is they keep waiting for a sign, a message, or a call from you to prove that they still matter. But with every hour that passes without contact, the cracks in their confidence deepen. The silence eats away at them, making them second-guess everything. They also resort to overanalyzing your actions. Every social media post becomes a mystery to decode. Are they trying to send me a message? Are they seeing someone else? They'll stalk your profiles, looking for clues, hoping to find any shred of evidence that you still care. And when they find nothing, it only drives them deeper into their mental spiral. Their own mind becomes their worst enemy, spinning scenarios and creating stories that leave them exhausted and confused. This is the beauty of pulling away. You create a silence so loud that they can't help but fill it with thoughts of you. They thought they were in control, but now they're prisoners to their own imagination, stuck in a cycle of doubt, regret, and obsession. The mind games they play are not about outsmarting you. They're about trying to outsmart themselves, but no matter what stories they tell, the truth becomes impossible to ignore. You're gone, and they have no idea how to get you back. And here's where you stay. Strong. You don't break the silence. You don't reach out. Let them wrestle with their own mind. Every moment they spend trapped in their thoughts is a reminder of the power they lost and the power you've gained. Stay the course, because their mental games are just the beginning. As long as you remain silent, the situation will deteriorate, making it difficult to ignore your silence. The fifth concern pertains to the fear of replacement. As soon as you depart, a menacing notion infiltrates their mind: the fear of replacement. This isn't a passing thought. It's a deep-seated anxiety that slowly takes over. They believed they were in control and that you would always be there, but now that you've left, the void you've left behind compels them to confront a possibility they weren't prepared for. What if someone else steps in and takes your place? This thought scares them, and once it takes root, it's difficult to get rid of. At first they try to brush it off, telling themselves they'll come back. They just need time to think. But as the days stretch into weeks and the silence intensifies, it becomes evident that each moment without your presence feels like a looming threat. What if you're not just giving them space? What if you've already moved on? Their mind begins racing to create imaginary scenarios. They picture you with someone new, someone who sees your worth without hesitation. That mental image haunts them, and they can't stop replaying it, wondering if they've lost you forever. This fear isn't just about jealousy. It's deeper than that. It's the realization that they gambled with your time and attention, assuming you'd always be there, only to find themselves on the losing side. Now they can't stop thinking, what if they've replaced me, offering someone else what they once gave me? The fear becomes suffocating. They start comparing themselves to an imaginary replacement, questioning if that person is funnier, kinder, or better than they ever were. It's a vicious cycle, one that drags them deeper into insecurity with every passing day. And the worst part, they know they've brought this on themselves. Your absence forces them to reflect on all the times they took you for granted, assuming you'd stick around, no matter how little effort they gave. Now they're left to wonder if someone else is enjoying what they threw away. They might not admit it out loud, but inside it eats away at them. And the longer they sit with that fear, the more desperate they become. When this fear takes hold, they start making subtle moves to test the waters. You'll notice little things, maybe a random message. Whether it's a comment on an old post or a casual mention from a friend, they are seeking reassurance and trying to see if they still have a chance before someone else intervenes. If you give them the power, don't say anything. This is your chance to stay silent and let them feel the full weight of the fear they create. The fear of replacement is powerful because it makes them see your value in a way they never did before. They know they can't replace you, and that realization burns. But here's where your strength lies. You're not waiting for them to realize your value. You've already taken the step to move forward, and whether someone new comes into your life or not, you're not looking back. So embrace this power shift. Let them see how the fear fits them. Let them wonder, and remember, the moment you stop chasing, keep your ground and stay strong. Have faith in the process. Their fear should be of replacement, not of you. Number 6. Their brain merges with yours. When you pull away, a strange phenomenon occurs in the prisoner's mind. They may not realize it, but every moment without you becomes a mental loop they can't escape, and they keep thinking about old talks. These thoughts keep going around in their heads like an endless carousel. Why did they stop texting? What are they thinking? Are they with someone else? The more they try to push them away, the stronger they come back. It's not just that they miss you, it's that they can't reach you anymore. They took you for granted because they knew they could reach you any time and you'd respond. Now that they can't reach out to you, this lack of access sows a seed of obsession in their minds, which grows slowly at first, then quickly, until the thought of you becomes their constant companion. People don't just notice when you're not there. You become a void they can't fill, a puzzle they can't solve. Their brain, which used to be full of distractions and small things, now has a new focus. You. You become the person they think about first thing in the morning and last thing at night as they scroll through their phone. They are constantly checking their phone to see if they missed a message or stalking your social media accounts to find clues about what you're doing. However, the irony is that the harder they try to stop thinking about you, the more it consumes their mind. This is because their brains are wired to fixate on things they can't have. And now that you're no longer accessible, this is exactly what's happening to them. They want you more than ever. It's not even about love or affection. It's about regaining the control they thought they had. But here's the catch. The harder they try to stop thinking about you, the tighter the grip you have on their mind. Even in moments when they try to distract themselves, you'll still be there. A song on the radio, a familiar place, even an inside joke they once shared with you. Everything reminds them of you, and they'll hate it. They'll hate that. No matter what they do, you're still there, lingering like a shadow. They can't escape. They'll hate that. You're the first person they think of, even when they don't want to. The more they try to move on, the more you dominate their thoughts, and they'll find themselves eelies in a losing battle with their own mind. This is where your power lies. You've pulled away, and in doing so, you've taken up space in their mind that no one else can fill. Every day that you stay silent, you solidify your place as the one they can't stop thinking about, and the beauty of it, you're not even trying. Your absence does all the work, making you never forget their brain. It's now yours. Number 7. When you withdraw, the emptiness pierces them deeply. They don't just miss you, they feel your absence like a sharp blow to the chest. This isn't the normal kind of desire that goes away after a few days. This is a void that comes at them like a slow train. Your absence haunts the person who once seemed unaffected by your presence, and the harsh reality is that they believed they could continue as they always did without you. But now that you've distanced yourself, it's affecting them deeply, a feeling they weren't prepared for. They start to realize that you weren't just filling space in their lives. You were the glue that held everything together. They never realized the comfort, security, and sense of belonging your presence provided until it vanished, and now they feel lost. The void you've left isn't just empty but heavy, and they can't shake it off. This is the kind of emptiness that makes every quiet moment a reminder of what they no longer have. It's that silence in the late hours of the night, the absence of your good morning texts, and the lack of your attention that they were so used to. Each of these small absences feels like a cut, and over time they all start to bleed. And here's the catch. They can't just fill this void with distractions. They'll try. Oh, they'll try. They'll hang out with friends, immerse themselves in hobbies, or even rush into new relationships, hoping that something, anything, can fill the void you left behind. However, the more they search for substitutes, the more desperate they feel, and every time they come up empty-handed, the blow hits harder. This void isn't just about losing your presence, it's about realizing how much they took you for granted. It's a painful awakening one, where every good moment they shared with you replays in their mind, like a bittersweet movie reel. But now, instead of experiencing those moments with joy, they're left grasping at memories that only highlight how much they lost. They remember the small things, the way you listened, the way you made them feel, seen the way you always showed up when it mattered, and the harshest truth, they never thought those moments would stop. They never imagined you'd be gone, but now that you are every second without you, feels like an echo in a canyon, reminding them of what they let slip through their fingers. Metaphorically, this void is like a missing piece from a puzzle. No matter how much they try to rearrange the remaining pieces, the picture will never look right without that one piece, and that realization eats away at them slowly. They scroll through their phones, staring at your old messages, hoping that somehow revisiting the past will make the emptiness disappear. But it doesn't. The messages are just words. Now, reminders of something real that they can't get back, and the more they search for you in those texts, the more they realize you're gone, and the harder it becomes to face that void in relationships. This void is especially crushing if they thought you'd always be there, if they thought you'd keep giving endlessly. They never considered what it would feel like when you stopped. Now they feel the absence of the person who gave them stability, care, and effort without hesitation. And as time passes, that absence becomes undeniable. They start noticing the cracks in their life, the things they ignored because you were there to hold everything together. And now that you're gone, those cracks start to widen, until all they're left with is the shattered remains of a connection they thought would last forever. If it feels difficult to create this kind of void, I understand pulling away from someone you care about is one of the hardest things to do. You'll wonder if they even notice if they care, or if your absence will have any impact at all. But let me tell you something. They will feel it. They may not show it right away, and they might act like they're fine, but give it time. That void will hit them, and when it does, it will feel like a punch to the gut, sharp, unexpected, and impossible to ignore. They will realize that they lost something precious, something they thought they could live without. And the best part is they'll understand too late that you were never just an option. You were the one worth keeping. Here's the final piece of advice. Don't fill their void or reach out to make sure they're okay. Stay strong. Let them feel the full weight of losing you, because they will only understand your true worth when feeling empty. If you stick with this and resist the urge to fill the gap for them, you'll come out stronger, and so will they. Here's the start of your transformation. You must distance yourself from them and realize they cannot replace you. Stay with me, because this is just the first of many steps. You can't change your life in one move. It takes persistence, consistency, and the strength to handle the pain of letting go. But if you're ready to accept this, if you're ready to step into your power and become the one worth chasing, drop "I refuse to chase" in the comments. This is just the beginning. Stay with me until the end, and you'll become unstoppable.